We are live in the next episode of umbraCoffee, episode number 159. And long time no see, Rune. Hello.
It's been a while.
How are you?
Very, very good. Thank you. Happy New Year, I guess.
Yeah. Can we still
Happy New Year and everything else?
It's nearly February. I realized that the other day. We are a week away from February, and then that's only 4 weeks, so we're nearly March. Like this year is disappearing already.
Very true.
One of 12 of this 2021 year, so it's going fast. I don't know how fast. I didn't realize a couple of weeks that they are missing, but a lot of people are not wasting any second and doing a lot of things and interesting things. And this week I was surprised because I totally detached from some of the news. But of course we had two major events on the Umbraco land. And one of them was the New Year's reception, streamed straight from the Umbraco HQ by Kim and Anders, with a lot of guest appearances from what I've seen from the recording. And there were a lot of news being shared on this one. And Rune, do you have anything from your side? What is your personal highlight, or maybe highlights seen from your side for the new year?
I guess there's quite a few interesting things in there, but one of the big highlights for me is that Code Garden is going to happen, at least.
Yeah.
I'm wearing Umbraco Polo shirt, and every time I look through my every time I look through my Umbraco tees over the last 6 months, I really get this. Oh man, I wish it was festival season soon.
So
sad. But saying that, it's going to be a virtual thing in June, right? I think it's the 10th and 11th of June, and I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm quite excited about it because I attended, I think you guys did as well, the Duke Fest last year, or the Dutch Umbraco Festival, and it was really good. And it actually gave me sort of the Code Garden vibes for an entire day, which I thought was pretty amazing for a virtual event. It was really, really well produced and just a great experience attending it and chatting with people and things like that. And Arnold Visser, who's at Umbraco, was one of the people who set up that event. So he'll obviously also be heavily involved in setting up Code Garden. So I think that bodes well for this year's Code Garden. So all the preparations have started for that. There's a lot of stuff that's going to happen. There will be awards, package stuff happening, all of these things, right? So a lot of things to prepare for, but also a lot of things to look forward for. So that's probably one of the things I'm most excited for, to be honest.
Yeah, you mentioned the awards, of course. So the awards submissions are open currently, and there's two new categories. So best public sector solution and best healthcare solution, which I think is very interesting that we've seen those added this year. It shows kind of the direction that Umbraco is going in, at least with certain types of clients and projects, that those are becoming a noteworthy sector of solutions.
And it's some of it is that Umbraco caters really well to that sector. Accessibility-wise, for example, all of the stuff that's been happening over the last couple of years really makes it easier to push into those sectors because accessibility is so important in that sense. But also, I think a lot of the security features we have in Umbraco and things like that really help sell Umbraco in that space for a lot of agencies, right? So it's not necessarily that we push it so much in that sector, but a lot of agencies are successful in selling Umbraco there. We actually do have a landing page for public sector websites, right? And I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'll just do it anyway. We are working on one for the healthcare sector as well. So it aligns well with the awards that we have actual places where people can see all of the awesome solutions that are built on that. And actually, on that note, I just saw today a paper was published on the distribution of CMSs in the public sector in Denmark, and Umbraco is by far number one. the CMS that shall not be named is number 2, but I think we have twice as many websites, public websites running on Umbraco, and there was an 18% increase from 2019 to 2020. So it's something like 55 websites, public sector websites that you can see are running on Umbraco, right? They use some kind of tool to see that. So I think that's really, really interesting.
Yeah, very.
It's also good to be in the open source movement these days, because usually this solutions needs to either be built fast or cheap because of the times restrictions, and that's where companies or even volunteers are looking for a free product which can be just speed up quickly and done. And of course that might be the benefit, of course.
In the UK, we have government digital services, GDS. They do kind of all of the government stuff, but as a kind of strategy, one of their primary goals is as much as possible should be either open source or using open source. For that reason, there's tons of cost benefits, but also they don't have to hire in the most uber knowledgeable people on a certain product. They can have some fantastic. Some other fantastic developer build it, and they can work with them.
I think it allows for a lot more flexibility from the end client's perspective, both in terms of having a greater base of agencies to select from, but also moving forward how things are maintained down the line if things happen with the relationship with the agency or whatever it is, right? There's for example, with Umbraco, there's a lot of flexibility in terms of having other people take over the work or contribute to it in adding features or new projects for those things. So I think it makes a lot of sense. It's great to see that trend is continuing. It's been a trend for quite a few years, right? But I'm really proud that we're in that space.
It'll be interesting to see what comes out of these awards then. Some interesting projects that get nominated. And so the deadline for nomination is the 7th of May, if I remember. And
I think
codegarden.umbraco.com is where you can get submitting. And I saw someone on Twitter, I think, say the best way to stand out is by submitting an excellent video demonstrating the project, really showing up. Don't worry about seeming cocky or full of yourself. If you're proud of the project, make a big deal out of it, make an awesome video, and hopefully it will get noticed.
Show it off. It's like with anything else. If you actually sell it, like if you actually do a good job of explaining why it's awesome, that'll help. Right?
Yeah.
And videos are an amazing tool to show off features or I remember seeing some really great videos of editing experiences in the past, which is really, really interesting to see how people integrate third-party services into the Umbraco back office, for example. Those things are really interesting to see. But that doesn't mean that having good copy or good explanations, descriptions of the project isn't worthwhile as well, because we do read all of it. And take that into account as well. But the videos really, really help, especially in terms of the visual features inside.
Of course. And so Code Garden, it's a virtual event. It's completely free, which is amazing. And it's happening on the 10th and the 11th of June. And I believe there was some chatter about it also being there. They're going to try and accommodate different time zones as well, where possible. So hopefully everyone in the world at some point can tune in over those few days, and we can try and recreate the experience online. And did you see there's already, Marcin, someone waiting for Code Garden? Niels tweeted a picture. Niels Instagrammed a picture.
Yes, let me.
Instagram. This is this fantastic meme format with Bernie Sanders from earlier in the week, of course. But he's already waiting outside Doc 5000.
But that's why it's important to remind everyone that this is a virtual event this time, and for the first time, hopefully the last time as well.
Even though Bernie is wearing a mask, that doesn't really help. It has to be virtual this year, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We can handle. And Callum, what about your highlight from the Hologram? Because of course the recording is here. We've been talking before going live that we rewatch it if we missed it, and everyone can do that because it's public. And yeah, what is your highlight? Do you expect anything special from this list of things announced?
I'm excited. There's a lot of things to get excited about, I think, coming this year. It actually, this Umbraco running on .NET Core is going to be great. But do you know what I'm actually most excited about? And it's nerdy, but it's the overhaul of cloud, because from everything I've heard about it, I've said this before, it seems like it's going to be a really compelling option for hosting an Umbraco site, where currently Azure probably is maybe a little bit more expensive or about the same cost, but it's far more flexible. Umbraco Cloud is going to become, it's going to be up there. It's going to be better with multi-region support, with far more solid infrastructure underneath. And it's going to set the foundation, I think, for some really, really cool stuff going forward. There's already been chatter about, CDN being a feature as well, an additional add-on, perhaps. I'm intrigued. I'm eagerly watching to see what they do with that.
It's incredibly exciting. It's actually one of my main tasks this year is the whole communication side of things around the new infrastructure. It's a massive project. We've been working on it for a very, very long time, and now it's happening. And we have a lot of existing clients, and there's of course things that will change for them, or they'll need to participate in some of the migration process. And it's really, really important that we help set expectations for how that's going to work, and are really clear and transparent about when and why things are happening, right? So we're putting a lot of effort into that. We've kicked it off with the Future of Umbraco Cloud blog post that kind of details the whole project. There'll be upcoming blog posts about Cloudflare, app services, like more detailed stuff. But then there'll also be communication around the maintenance, upgrades, migrations that are happening, that'll be more directed at the current clients that are using Umbraco Cloud. So there's a lot of work involved in making all of this happen. But where we'll be at the end of March or April, when the new infrastructure is completely in place and everyone has been migrated over to it, I think it's going to be pretty amazing. I mean, the stated goal is to be the best place to host your Umbraco solutions, right?
Yeah.
So,
I just think that a very important thing which you've mentioned here is like you are preparing communication ahead in time, not that just everyone is hit by the upgrade and migration need, and the preparations are the key, especially that this is such a massive change in the background. But I agree with Callum here that probably this is most awaited thing from myself as well, as we are exploring Azure a lot. And I know that your team was already doing it and abstracting a lot on top of it. And if it can hide even some complexity for people who are not that experienced, and they will be able to easier do the more advanced solutions from Umbraco, that's another entrance to the different markets and ecosystems. And someone asked about scaling. Nick asked about scaling here. Do you know anything about it, Rune, or?
No, I don't have any specifics on that, unfortunately.
I guess,
but I mean, some of the things that we do know are going to happen is around the CDN capabilities that are going to be enabled, right? Because that'll certainly help in terms of scaling. It'll mean that resources are spent in a much smarter way. It won't be as taxing on the individual. Well, not VMs anymore. It'll be services instead, right? But that'll certainly help. It won't support load balancing out of the gate for sure. That's one thing that we can say right now. But all of these things, as it is with the region support, adding new regions, are things that will be enabled by having a new infrastructure. It's taking all of the learnings of the old Umbraco Cloud and then saying, what options do we want to make available? What is the future of cloud hosting, right? And enabling all of those things. Another thing that I think a lot of people are excited about is scheduled upgrades, which will also be enabled down the line. So exactly how it works is still a bit up in the air, but the ability to within a time window, for example, be able to schedule when your site is automatically upgraded, right? So it fits with how your team works or whatever. So there's just a ton of those things that will get enabled.
So one step at a time and one step towards the further solutions and upgrades, because that's exactly what is needed to make anything further possible. But that's exciting.
Yesterday I was part of a Microsoft call where we were looking at some changes they're going to make to Azure SQL. And one of the things that really stuck with me is a mantra that the Azure SQL team has, which is that ultimately people that use that product, many of them are experts in Azure SQL, and they've got a lot of expert knowledge, and they want to bake as much of that knowledge into the user experience as they possibly can, simplify it, make it clearer and easier. And I feel like that's the position that Umbraco Cloud really can and will fill once we've got this foundation. Deploying into a different region, or maybe in future scaling, but setting up CDN can be a couple of clicks. And we started to see that with things like Latch, where before Latch, deploying an SSL certificate onto cloud was a pain, a real pain. You had to generate like a PFX file or something to then upload, and it was so annoying. And now you click a button. I wonder how many people actually upload SSL certificates anymore. I guess it's very, very few. Most people just use Latch. I'd love to just see that same philosophy applied to many, many more aspects. That's why I'm excited about cloud.
Hidden complexity. That's exactly what we are looking for, and because as you've said, couple button clicks, you have application restart done. You can access this part of the app, and having app services on top of it is just another set of possibilities behind the scenes, which can be just translated into more friendly UI. And that's also what's exciting, because not everyone needs to be an Azure expert to host an Umbraco website, and that's something what is the goal here probably, and then we are expecting that to happen. Even if we are having some experience with Azure, it would be good to do some things easier, as I've spent a whole morning today looking for PFX files on Azure. So I can relate to that.
I remember just writing the documentation for how to upload the custom certificates was a big pain, like just describing how this works, and that's when you know you have a problem, right? When when documenting how people should use this is really, really difficult, then you know you have something you can definitely improve on, right? And there's just a ton of areas, whether it's Azure specific stuff, but also more cloud specific features with Umbraco Deploy and so forth. How members work, team members, right? We've got the new single sign-on that is going to be enabled for everything within the next month. All of these things are things that we've identified as obstacles for people using Umbraco Cloud to make things more complicated, right? And with the new infrastructure, we can really, really tackle a lot of these things and make it just a lot easier, both for ourselves as the maintainers of the platform, but definitely for the users of the platform.
But here, a very interesting thing is that these updates are also affecting the main product. And I remember the discussions about the open authentication and some possibilities of multi-factor authentication, for example. It was needed for the cloud infrastructure, but right now everyone can implement their own providers and attach their own providers to the authentication. So if Umbraco will be running extensively on app services, there will be probably more upgrades, more fixes, more patch releases for things which will be observed and discovered on the way, same as it was in the VMs for the initial version of the cloud platform.
And it's not the only example. There's been a ton of examples of these enhancements made to how Umbraco work on Azure, which benefits both Umbraco Cloud, but certainly also everyone else using Umbraco, right? So it is very much a what do you call it? bi-directional relationship with the open source CMS and the cloud platform, where a lot of the work that is being done on cloud also feeds back into the open source CMS.
Yeah. I was going to say, so there was, alongside this announcement and many of the others in the New Year's reception, there was some ambitious but clear time frames put on a lot of these things we're talking about. Of course, all of this sounds fantastic. Oh, we can have multi-region cloud, all that stuff. Well, you've almost publicly said we are aiming for March for the new infrastructure, June for the multi-regions, and then we don't know the roadmap beyond that. But equally, we had commitments on the .NET Core or Unicore or whatever we're going to call it, vNext release, which is a beta by March, a preview or a release candidate in May, and general availability in August. Which again, ambitious, but really cool to see a lot of these timeframes being mentioned. Now, maybe this is a good point, Rune, to talk about what your role is, because your role's changed quite a bit over the course of 2020. Yeah. And I think this falls into your remit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it definitely does. I'm not the main what do you call it? Communicator. I'm not head of the .NET Core project on the communications of that. That's Vera, but I'm certainly helping out a lot on it. And we're doing it a lot of the kind of the same way as we're communicating about cloud, and also the back office project that we've also started up, is that we try to put as much information out there as humanly possible. If we can commit to something, then we will try to do it, and then we'll continuously communicate about it. And if changes happen, then we'll be transparent about that as well, because we all know stuff happens in development projects, right? That can push deadlines or whatever. But we'll certainly be as open and transparent about it as possible. And in terms of my role, I was product owner previously, but I've transitioned into a product communications producer role, which I was actually doing a lot of before when I was a product owner as well. And the responsibility of both communicating about the product and also ensuring kind of all of the internals of planning, development and all of that stuff, that was a little bit too much responsibility. And there was too many things up in the air. So kind of a decision had to be made on what to focus on. And I've always loved talking about Umbraco. I've done a lot of teaching of Umbraco and all of these things, right? So it kind of made sense for me to continue focusing on the communication side of things, on product updates, release communication, and then also we've really stepped up our game on communicating about future initiatives and the larger projects that are ongoing, right? So that is very much my focus. And as I mentioned, Umbraco Cloud and the back office projects, that's my main focus, aside from all of the release communication and product updates.
But I can personally say, at least in the past 2 months or so, there's been a noticeable improvement in general product communication, specifically around, I know that maybe the past 2 minor releases have been delayed for whatever reason, but it's been very well communicated and incredibly well received by the community as a result. If it just got to the day of launch and there's no mention, and then actually we're just going to release it a week later and you don't mention it, people maybe get a bit skeptical that you stick to the timelines you say, but incredibly transparent with the previous 8.10 release. Like, it's not quite up to scratch. We're going to delay it 2 weeks.
Yeah, and it really makes me happy both to see all of the feedback we've gotten around that, and also to hear you mention it again. You said it on previous umbraCoffees, because one of the scary things about doing a lot more communication, being a lot more open, being a lot more transparent about these things, is that there's a lot more to keep track of. When we go out and say this will happen, and it doesn't, then we need to pick that up, right? So it adds a level of what do you say? Not stress, but responsibility, right? You feel responsible when you put out the communication. we have a responsibility to circle back when things don't go quite according to plan. So I'm just really happy that people have taken these kind of smaller issues and postponements the way they have. That's really comforting for us and the work that we do, and it also just means that it's way easier to put this communication out. You feel more confident that people will take it the right way. So that's really nice.
And from the other hand here, it's like more communication because less disappointments, I would say, because it's like if you have the information that it won't come up, you are not disappointed that it didn't see. But if there will be any one person who is expecting that and it's not coming, that's probably worse than the 1,000 words. And we as you said, we were always highlighting that we really love it and love the kind of this level of communication, and we'll be always republishing and resharing it with the community here. So hope we will be a lot more in touch as well as we still are with the product upgrades and so on. And just keep it up, and we are expecting a lot of useful information. Just chase technical people to share technical information as well, as we geeks
that's
here
my job.
are waiting here a lot of things there about the meat sometimes in between of the explorations. Cool.
One thing I'd like to point out about this is that it actually helps the products we have as well, that we are as open as we are, because as you say, chasing the development team about all of this information, asking about deadlines, asking about functionality, asking about what impact will this have on our clients or on the developers that are using the CMS. All of these things are things that naturally occur when you have to describe a feature or a release, right? But that also means that when we pose these questions to the development team, they have to think like, right. You know, so it really. There's been countless of examples over the last 6 months when I've transitioned into Coma of really seeing improvements in the releases that we do because of the communication that we do, and I find that's really gratifying.
I wanted on that note actually to highlight something that came out of the New Year's roundup as well. It's one of these typical stats that we would expect to be included in one of these. Of course, everyone wants the numbers, but what was mentioned, which I think is impressive, is in 2020 alone, despite conditions, you onboarded more new trained developers than ever. You onboarded more new partners than ever, and the NPS score for cloud and the support that people receive is higher than ever. And I think overall, that just starts to build more trust in the product, doesn't it? It's as a strategy, it's actually, if you're going to invest in communicating better, it's going to make people trust you as HQ more, and people trust the product more. And I know that the communication side of things, obviously, what you do is just a small part of that pie. It was also announced that there's going to be a greater investment in things like, you opened an office in the US last year, and you're opening a small sales office in Australia as well this year with a partner manager. That's the idea. And also growing in a kind of developer relations perspective as well.
Okay.
Arnold obviously joined in February last year, and there is a fantastic new person joining in February, next week, or the week after. Of course, so Emma Burstow is going to be joining the HQ team.
That's amazing.
To be involved with pull requests and also as a public face for Umbraco developers to reach out to and talk. And there's another addition to that team, but I'm not sure allowed to talk about it. So
we can. I think what we can say is that Warren Buckley will be a lot more visible to the community going forward, in terms of also starting to do more of these kind of developer relations tasks or whatever you want to call it, right? Initiatives. So again, like me stepping into Coma, I think added a bit of technical weight to our communications. At least being able to ask the right questions for the D team, right? And what both Warren and Emma will be adding is even more technical weight to communications and I'm hoping it'll help us step up on our release communication, maybe doing more videos, things like that, but also just trying things out, hacking, prototyping, all of these things might also be part of it. Right?
There were some Twitter requests, right, about it. That let Warren hack all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great announcement, and I've been talking about it with some people in the past, that a role of advocates or people who are in between of the company and developers is extremely important, because usual developers don't have time to do the communications, explorations, chats, and stuff like that, because they're writing code, they're doing stuff, and having it balanced and having it as a role is both exciting. And I always admired the Microsoft advocates who were exactly doing that. They were hacking, promoting, and just sharing their work with the world. Really good stuff. Really interested what will come out of it.
It also requires a certain kind of setup in order to be able to communicate these things in the right way, have the right format for putting it out, and also getting the feedback on the initiatives that are put into place, but also ensuring that things like developer relations roles and things like that have a focus, because just having evangelists or just hacking the planet or whatever, there has to be a purpose of it, right? Otherwise it's just like a fluffy thing. So I think we've in the Umbraco HQ, we've kind of reached the point where it really makes sense to have these roles, and where we can define what is going to be the output of this, which helps both the HQ but also the people that will be doing these tasks, because it is really important to have a clearly defined purpose with it, I think.
That's exciting.
Well, that's lots and lots of amazing announcements that came out of there's one more thing I wanted to touch on. I know we've been chatting a while and we've got some other things to run over to, but one thing I wanted to touch on, which was brushed over on the roundup, but it's been elaborated in more detail, and I think now it's been mentioned, we can discuss it. So, of course, this is that Niels is not currently at HQ. He's on a hiatus, and it's funny because no one noticed. This has been since September, and so in September he dropped me an email and said, "Oh, I'm going on a hiatus," and we didn't mention it because, well, it's not for us to say. And also, if you follow him on Instagram, he's been spending his time doing woodworking and kind of
CNC.
Disconnected.
Taking care of his new puppy.
Taking care of himself. And I think that's really important. But it also shows that a lot of these fantastic things are going on, and people see Niels as very central to a lot of those things, and I'm sure he is. But also, they can happen when he's not around. It's really great to see that Umbraco as a product is kind of driving ahead with a vision. All of the amazing people that are in place.
And what you said about vision, that certainly plays a big role in that, right? And where Niels has always been instrumental in setting that vision. And actually, we did work a lot on what that was in 2020, prior to him going on leave, which means that it is a lot easier for us to just continue working along those lines. Also, you'll see a lot of the heads of departments that we have in place have been at Umbraco for long enough that they are now really comfortable in those roles, right? They know the products, they know the community, they know all of these things, right? So it gets way easier to make the decisions that are right and are pointing in the right direction than it was before, which I think is a really healthy thing. I think it's a great thing that someone like Niels can go on a leave and take some time out, because he's been working really, really hard on Umbraco for the better part of 20 years, right? Without being able to really take a break, right? So I think that just it shows the maturity of HQ and the products that we have as well.
It absolutely does.
if you heard about the EOS system where there is a role for visionaries and not doers, and that's the thing. Like that proves that the company mechanisms works, and there is a kind of extreme ownership delivered, and people are just responsible for their stuff inside of the departments. And for the CEO, owner, or chief executive officer, that's the best output, that it works without them, because that means that they've done a great job on the top of it. So
I'm really glad to see he's, as you said, Rune, able to take the time out. Now is a better time than any when the pandemic's going on to, do something a bit different for a while. He's, as I said, doing loads of CNC.
I've been there myself, where it was needed to take a break that was more than just a couple of weeks of holiday, right? So I know the impact that can have on your life. So it's just I'm super happy for him. He's been able to do that.
Us too. And I know someone reached out to me this morning, in fact, saying they had sent him a message just saying, like, Happy New Year and thank you for everything you've done recently. And he responded just saying, oh, thank you, that means a lot. So he's still there, but he's not on Twitter.
Oh, yeah, of course.
He's not day-to-day HQ. In fact, I heard a story where I think Rasmus had to call him up because they needed I might be simplifying it. They needed a password or something for something that Niels had, or access to something or knowledge that Niels had about something. But so he's around. But
of course.
Woodworking, and that's all good.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's talk about what is happening in the between when he is away, and of course things are happening still in the HQ and in the community. Let's maybe jump to the new releases for a while, because there is a new release of Umbraco coming on January 28th, and that's 8.11. And we've had a release candidate being released a while ago. It's still in the stage, and the expected delivery date is 28th. So we can still see it expected, and also see the information about the another releases being aligned with the same release cycle, if we can say, because on the January 26th there are patch releases coming to the 8.6, 8.7, 8.8, 8.9, 8.10 releases, which I just showed.
Essentially backporting as many of the important fixes as we can to ensure that people that for whatever reason are on lower versions can benefit from those fixes and things like that, right?
That's really great to see. I said this on last week's episode. Is there a general strategy for how far you will backport things? I guess it's a case by case.
Right now it is. We are working on a kind of more defined strategy for this going forward, as you could say, as an extension of the communication we've done around versioning and things like that, release cadence. But this is the natural next step of that, is having a clearly defined way of what is supported, what will be in LTS and things like that as we go on, especially when we start from the .NET Core release and moving onward from there, right? So you can expect to hear more on these things, where it'll be even more clearly defined going quite soon, I would say.
Awesome.
And from other community releases, one was really nice to notice, and that's an Amplify theme from Matt Barlow, and it went open source. So right now everyone can see how it's done. We've been highlighting this theme for a while, and Matt decided to switch a model and also placed a nice, beautiful button here to buy him a coffee. So if anyone decides to benefit from exploring or using the theme, as usual, we highly encourage everyone to pay back, even buy a coffee. It's a small reward for an amazing amount of time and efforts put into building something like this theme.
It looks really, really great. I haven't had a chance to try it out, unfortunately, but it looks really great, and I've heard good things about it. So I'd be interested in having a look at how it's actually set up.
We know Matt he invested a lot of time in building it, and it's like very well built. It's Bulma and Vue.js, and it's kind of using latest tech. And he's built a whole bunch of custom property editors to make the editor experience really, really sweet. So
That's great. And there are some meetups on the way where we probably will learn also more about things. And Callum, you've gathered a lot of them in a line. So there was one about modeling content in Umbraco this yesterday, January 21st.
Yesterday.
Manchester.
Yeah, I didn't make it, but this was a really interesting looking talk and a set of talks, and I saw a lot of people on Twitter asking for slides, different approaches to how you build content in Umbraco, depending on the kind of purpose that you're building sites for, or the way you structure your site. Are you building multiple sites in a single instance? And there were some talks from some people from Sigma, from a kind of user experience point of view. How do you architect your sites that way? Incredibly interesting. I wish I'd been able to join.
Same here. And there's also Edinburgh meetup on January 27th. We've been mentioning mentioned a couple of them. They've aligned some of the speakers and agenda entrance. So all of them, of course, are online and virtual, so everyone can join. So this one is January 27th. There is also a next one, which is a little bit different than the usual. Yeah.
All the big questions. Is it still a viable CMS? Which I think is there really to grab your attention. But of course, Phil's kind of going to analyze, how does this fit into the world with amongst Wix and Squarespace and
Gutenberg.
Gutenberg editor in WordPress, exactly. I think this is going to be a really interesting talk as well.
That sounds really interesting. When was that?
It's Thursday, the 4th of February.
Right, yeah.
We will be definitely reminding about it next week as well. Because there are some in the beginning of the February, and the one is about A/B testing, which we also mentioned a while ago. And again, if anyone wants to explore A/B testing, personalization, probably there won't be a better opportunity in the next weeks to get it. Like it's straight from the marketing suite team, Jeffrey and other participants who will be definitely exploring this area of web development and breaking it into small pieces there.
We're actually exploring it at HQ right now. I don't know if you saw the tweet. Jeffrey sent some stickers to Morten, our web developer in Coma, because we've started using it, and it's quite an amazing package. It opens up for so many possibilities, and it's talking about those hiding complexibility things. It's incredible what you can do without having to code anything at all, basically. It's a really, really neat thing.
I personally think that this is going to be a kind of trend of 2021. It's like simplifying the things, really, because we have a low-code, no-code solutions, things like that. And if we will be still hiding more complexity behind small buttons or actions, and they will be doing magic for us, that's all what we need, because we are building. I've mentioned it on the Twitter as well this week, that most of us won't care about technology behind the scenes or how many tools, how many services we will be using if we'll be delivering solutions for the clients quicker, without issues, and stable.
I think an important part of that is also that it allows you to deliver the more tailored side of things for the client, right? Because having these packages that deliver all of this functionality that you can easily use in order to do A/B testing or segmentation or these things, right, means that you don't have to spend all of your time developing that side of things. You've got APIs in Umbraco that can allow you to do some of that stuff, or you can integrate Google Analytics or whatever, but then you still have a lot of moving parts that you need to align, right? And there's probably a ton of other stuff you could do for the client that's way, way, way better for them, just for working with the site on a daily basis, right? Integrating things into the back office or whatever it can be, right? Implementing a great front end or whatever it is, right? So I'm really, really excited about all of these packages that enable agencies to focus on doing even more great things for their clients by making these features available.
And last but not least, Callum, London Umbraco Talks already announced for the February 11th.
This is going to be a big one. So I've arranged a .NET Core extravaganza bonanza evening where we've got who's going to give an update on .NET Core. We've got Emma Garland, who's going to do a deep dive on some of the membership changes in .NET Core and the stuff that she and her company have worked on. And Carol's going to do a roundup of .NET 5 and C# 9.
Nice.
So we've got like all of the things you're going to want to know. And maybe it might coincide nicely with the idea that there should be a beta or another preview in February sometime. So let's wait and see. But Bjarke's going to tell you more. So sign up.
Yeah, well, I mentioned it in the last product update, I think already, that there's an Alpha 3 coming for website rendering, and then we've got I think an Alpha 4 planned for when members is ready, and then the beta will kind of be the more polished of all of those features, right? But as soon as there's something to be tested, we're trying to push it out.
Yeah, so you will come to the meetup and you'll hear a lot more about that. I'm sure. It's 3 weeks yesterday.
3 weeks, 2 clicks, and I'm registered as well. And upcoming things which are also in the next weeks. umbraCo Tuesday, kicking off this year. Unformed and unofficial community activity raised by Owen for the end of this month. And I also seen some tweets from him, even saying that if anyone don't have any umbraCo wardrobe, there is a second-hand market exchange of the t-shirts and stuff like that. So feel free to ping and participate. As usual, we'll be also highlighting it on umbraCoffee. And it's extremely easier right now to just go to the wardrobe, grab a t-shirt if you have any.
You don't turn up at the office and see everyone in umbraCo t-shirts.
But that was also an exciting part of it. That it was we were trying to synchronize with the t-shirts then. But right now it's easier, and everyone is welcome to participate.
I think
on January.
umbraCo socks count as well, right? It doesn't just have to be a t-shirt; it could be a sock or
exactly
stickers on your coat or something. I don't know.
Whatever umbraCo, exactly. And that's from the announcements part. We have some fun things to share, and I wanted to rely this one with the personalization engines, because as you can see on this example, it's a very well personalized for umbraCoffee fans, because we've been seeing a movement of placing Kim sticker anywhere where possible. I received 2 of them. Thank you, umbraCo and Kim, again for them. And here Lee shared a really nice solution where you can just explore various sizes of Kim and various location of Kim sticker. And that's just amazing. So there were some requests of packing it up and placing as an umbraCo package. So yeah, maybe upcoming, maybe we'll highlight release of this package. But we must highly appreciate the personalization done here on this login screen for umbraCoffee fans. Go and visit. It's on code.leekelleher.com/umbraco/Kimify. And of course, it won't be umbraCo community if it wouldn't go one step forward, right? Because Lars Erik teased us with his VR AR version of Kimify. Of course, it's shared as an Android application on GitHub, so everyone can see how it's done. It's
I
just
love it.
lovely.
I love that.
This scene is perfect. So everyone can grab Kim and place it anywhere around us. So if you have snow conditions, sun conditions, wherever you are, just you can grab this Android application, use the artificial intelligence, and explore what is possible. There's also a video with a demo of Kim located in various places. Great work, Lars, and we can all explore that. And 4 more things to wrap up. There was a candid contribution episode called New, released 1 day ago. I didn't catch up yet with that, but there's a lot of great information being highlighted in every episode. And this one, Callum, is about what things lie ahead. Yeah,
what's coming up in 2021, including big announcement and some other things in there. So
yeah, it's a really great episode. I actually wanted to highlight the one, I think it was the last one of 2020, where they talked to Ilham and Henk, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. It's a fantastic episode, and what I think they do a really great job of is highlighting how kind of the Umbraco community has not only sustained itself during this horrible year with a pandemic and everything, but has actually evolved as well. The amount of meetups and attendees at meetups has grown due to everything being virtual, right? So people can actually attend from everywhere. You don't have to get a babysitter or whatever issues you might be facing in getting out of the house at night. And the same for Henk's really great description of how to make events more accessible, both in-person events, but also during 2020, where they did the Dutch Umbraco Festival. It's a really great episode. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, one of my favorites as well here. So shout out to Candid Contributions team, and everyone can join the new episode and see what's new upcoming in 2021. Another great community activity was highlighted on the Umbraco blog this week, and it's a script magazine who is run by Erika, Janae, and Kyle, and it's a great story. Jumping to the basics of and beginnings of the script magazine, how it was formed, how it's working, how it's driven, what is the process, and how we as a community can also contribute and help in various ways, of course, as readers, supporters, and also writers. So we will just link it up in the video description. There is no need of shortening it. Just read it up. Same as Candid Contributions story back in the days, a couple weeks ago. It's just amazing to see these initiatives being described, because not everything is seen from the outside, and it's always good to see how it works behind the scenes to maybe realize how much effort and energy is needed to run things like that.
Right, because I mean, Script has been around for 6 years now.
6 years.
It's amazing, and having a story like this really lets you appreciate the effort that goes into it, which I think is really important. Because when something has been around for that long, we can take it for granted, right? That it's just there. There'll be another Script, right? But what it really made me think of is the level that it has, the level of consistency, right, and quality from day one, from a visual standpoint, design, content of the blog post. It is really amazing work they've done, and they've just kept it up, kept the cadence up, everything. They should be really proud of the work they've done.
Yeah, they should.
Yeah, big kudos, especially for consistency and determination to run it for that long. More of initiatives like that to highlight. So definitely a great series of blogs there. Just read it up. 2 things for at the end of the episode for developers. Callum, your favorite segment, pull request of the week.
This is I'm being cheeky because Bjarke put this one in yesterday. Can HQ members win pull request of the week? I'm not sure, but I make the rules.
We are responsible for rules. So
Bjarke has made a bunch of changes to make the Unicore project work on .NET 5. So he's discussed this before, that maybe they'll try like a multi-targeting thing with .NET 3, .NET Core 3.1 and .NET 5. It updates it. Be interesting to see if this actually gets merged in or makes it in, but it's a change I'm particularly excited about. Of course, .NET 5 is the bleeding latest version of .NET. It would be amazing if Umbraco could work on that when it launches in August. So let's wait and see. But great work from Bjarke there, and it's great to see the process actually that's involved in jumping to a new framework version. Not only because this is going to become a yearly thing where Microsoft release new versions of framework, and we don't want it to be a huge rewrite, just like the V8 to vNext rewrite has been, because it's just going to be super painful. But this shows actually just how it's relatively simple to move from .NET 3 to .NET 5, and going forward, hopefully, is a sign of what's to come. Of course, there's new features in .NET 5 that probably aren't being utilized, but it's backwards compatible. So
Yeah. But that exactly shows that small steps are just making these things looks easier at the end of the path. Because this pull request is just a wrap up of a lot of efforts done before to make it happen and make it possible. So great to see that, and more of these things probably will come up next. And the last thing for the Umbraco developers shared by
we'll call this contrib of the week, because this is also amazing.
Yeah,
fantastic.
It's a great looking repository gathering all of the examples of Umbraco unit testing with mocking Umbraco, testing various areas of Umbraco. It's like an awesome unit testing resource listing with the examples here done by Dennis, and it's just amazing to see that here. I don't know if it was distributed on Twitter anywhere, because we've been in touch with Dennis directly, and he shared it on various channels, but I couldn't see it on Twitter. So feel free to join this and see this repository and explore, and maybe share your examples and your contributions to unit testing of Umbraco. We have a couple experienced testers who are already doing a lot of great work with unit testing of Umbraco, and that might be a great repository of knowledge for everyone who wants to start or go beyond the current position. And that's all on our list. A lot of things. I really missed the version of nothing happened in this week. It's not that. So yeah, please share more, do more, and let us know about your activities in Umbraco land and around that. Because as we always say, without your activities and your information, we won't have anything to share here. So do it. And yeah, Rune, thank you very much for joining us. We hope to, as always, we were saying that you are always welcome here. Product updates are especially things which we are observing every week, and we are expecting them as well. So keep them coming. And yeah, that's all. And have a great weekend ahead. And as usual, we will see each other on next Friday.
Yeah,
for sure.
Umbraco Tuesday, don't forget.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Ready.
You're always
already prepared. Cool. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you for being with us.